Hi friends, it's Terri Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. In this video tutorial, I'm going to share a card I created with product from the new September through December 2024 mini catalog. September 4th is the first day you can order product from this mini catalog through January 6, 2025. I am going to be using the reindeer bundle, but I'm actually just going to be using the dies. But I want to tell you that the stamp set and the dies are bundled together for 10% savings, and they coordinate so well together. With the stamp set, you get these images that you can stamp and cut out with dies. You get some sentiments, some stamps to build some decorative images to these images, some background stamps. With the dies, you get, along with these dies, all these decorative dies. These two build this. I redid these in silver foil. You have these two dies combined will create this image. These two will create this. And then you have these three that create the deer. I'm going to be using these three and the wreath and the bow. And then you have this amazing die. I will be showing future projects with this, but I'm going to focus on a card using these items in the dies. It coordinates with designer series paper, and I do want to mention that these two dies will also cut out two images in the designer series paper. So it's so versatile. An image on this sheet and then an image on this sheet can be cut out with the dies. You have these in the designer series paper. You get 12 by 12 sheets, 2 each of the 6 double-sided designs. So you have these cute decorative images on one side. On the other side, you have background prints. So I know I want to use this for the background print, and I want to use the dies to create the decorative image. So I turned to my Inking of You card sketch booklet. I have been creating card sketch designs for over 3 years. I consolidated 131 of them into a booklet. And I love this booklet because I can just decide what my decorative image is, what kind of designer series paper I'm going to use, or decorative or layering for my paper. And because I decided on this print, I know it's a small print, so I'm going to use a small piece. So I looked through my booklet. I have many, many different options I could have picked. I am going to use Card Sketch 19. It has a decorative image. It has a smaller strip of designer series paper, or when I say that, let me tell you that the layers can be anything. They can be stamped cardstock, plain cardstock, textured cardstock, designer series paper. But I'm going to use my designer series paper here, put my decorative image, and add a sentiment. So I decided to use Card Sketch 19. Now a card sketch is the starting point for inspiration. You can add more layers. You can make the layers smaller, larger. Your decorative image can be any size. If I show a bow, that's optional. And it's just a starting point for your creativity. I do offer this booklet free with qualifying orders, and I will mail it to you with a qualifying order. All those details are in the bottom portion of my every blog post, and also the bottom of the text of this video. So let's get started. So I know it's going to be Card Sketch 19, as I mentioned, so I should refer to that again. And as I mentioned, there are so many different options. So the card base I have picked here, I'm going to use 8.5 by 5.5. You can score it at 4 1/4 or fold it and use your bone folder to crease it. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's my card base. And then it does not have an added layer, but I wanted to texturize this. So instead of texturizing the whole card base, I added another layer. My layer is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I texturized that with a new embossing folder that's in the mini catalog. It is called Birchwood 3D embossing folder. And this is a large folder. You can get an 8 1/4 piece of cardstock and texturize that. And the beauty of the size, you can decide if you want your wood grain to go this direction or this direction. I decided to go this direction. So you basically put your paper in here, run it through your cut and emboss machine, and then texturize that. So as I mentioned, card sketches are inspiration. For a starting point, I added another layer. My designer series paper, instead of being 5.5 by 1.5, I chose it to be the length of this card base. So that's how I'm going to start my card base. Now, decorative image can be as much as you want, and that sentiment can be there as large as you want, wide, long, as wide as you want, as long as you want. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that. So let's get these layers together. I'm going to adhere these with, what I'm going to do first is put my decorative layer on. So I have my designer series paper cut. And when you create your cards, you use your favorite adhesive. I use the Stampin' Seal. Now with this embossing folder, this is what Stampin' Up designated as the front of the folder. The logo part of the folder is what they designate as the front, but you can use either side. It's a personal decision. So I'm going to add it on this side, and I'm going to run it about right in the middle. So I'm going to put that on first, and then I'm going to adhere this to my card base. And as I've already mentioned, you could add as many layers as you want. So if you wanted to add a garden green layer to this, you could, but I'm going to keep it just like that. Now back to this card sketch. As I mentioned, it has a decorative image and sentiment. So let's talk about the sentiment. I chose to use the stylish shape banners for my sentiment. I used this die right here. And instead of a sentiment from the stamp set that coordinates with the dies, I'm using Happy Holidays from the Christmas Friends stamp set, which is also in that mini catalog. And I'm going to add that, but I also wanted to add a little pop of color. So I also cut that with the garden green, and I'm going to add that just like this. Now I think I forgot to bring my silicone craft mat over here. I'm going to have to get another one. I typically stamp in another section of my room, and I do my videos in a different area here. So I'm going to just layer those together to just get a pop of color behind it. And then I'm going to add this next. So I'm going to place that right like so. So that's how I have it so far. Now I'm just going to add my decorative image. As I mentioned, it can be any size or shape. And what I'm going to do is start out with a basic white that's going to go right here. And it is from the Nested Essential Dies. This is another basic die set that I like to use, and I believe I use that second largest one. So that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to build the reindeer on with this. So the beauty of this reindeer, and how I love how Stampin' Up has designed it, they have allowed you to create each of these or cut each of these in a different color, and because of the openings how they are, the different colors peek through. So it makes it so great to create with. So what I'm going to do, let me just oh, I do have my silicone craft mat here. Good. So what I have here, I'm going to place everything here that I have created. I have the first die with the early espresso, and that's the one in the back. And then you have the basic white one that I have is the one in the middle. I did color in the bottom portion of the leaves with the light petal pink blend just to add some color there. And then this one I have created with pecan pie. I have the wreath cut out with garden green, and I have the bow cut out with real red. Now you can use your favorite adhesive to adhere these all together. I really love using the adhesive sheets. So I actually put adhesive sheets behind each of those colors. And how that works is you cut your adhesive sheet, which is 6 by 12 in size, to the same size of the cardstock you're working with. So what I did is I cut it down to the same size. You peel one side of the adhesive sheet off and you stick it to your back side of your cardstock. And then you die cut that. When you die cut it, then you have adhesive sheet in the back. So I have done that for all of these. So now we're going to build. So how I like to do this is I start with the one that's on the front. So the one on the front is the pecan pie that I have cut here. It's basically the deer with the most openings and the largest openings. What I like to do is just use my fingers for alignment. So I just, let me see, I did that too quickly. Goodness, it works all good until I start a video, and then, oops, I have made 21 of these already for a card swap that I'm doing later this week with a group of ladies, a group of demonstrators. So I use my fingers to get all of that aligned. So let's see how that works. When you place that on there, let me see if I can bring that. See how those colors just pop underneath? You get a little bit of white on the eye. You get the two-tone of the ear because I colored that in. Then I take my adhesive sheet off the back of this. Now, if you're not using adhesive sheets, use your favorite adhesive to put on the back of these. And then I'm going to use my fingers to get all this aligned. And then look at how that just pops out there. See how those 3 layers with the different colors, I just love how that turned out. Now, sometimes I didn't use that, I didn't add the wreath, but for my card, I am adding the wreath. So again, I used adhesive sheets. You don't have to use adhesive sheets. You could use a different adhesive. So I'm taking it off that, setting it on my silicone craft mat, taking it off the wreath, and then I'm going to put the wreath around the deer's neck, and I'm making sure I cover all of that up, and then it will adhere right back here like that. Then I can set it on my silicone craft mat for right now. And then actually what I can do is just place it on here. So what I'm going to do is now place it on here. I have all the adhesive backing off. I'm going to put it close to the top here. And the reason I'm moving it close to the top is I have yet to add the bow on. Now, I do want to let you know, when you use adhesive sheets, you do need to burnish this to make sure it has a good bond to it. I also put adhesive sheet behind the cute little bow that's part of the die. Take that backing off, and then you can take that and add that. And then I am going to show you a great way to add some embellishments. But before I do that, I'm going to add it to the card. So I'm going to just pop this on with, I'm going to adhere it with some dimensionals. Use my take your pick tool to get the backings off. I love these dimensionals. I add the dimension as the name refers, but they are so strong. So I'm going to overlap that, look for levelness here and here, and place that on. So I'm going to embellish this with some basic rhinestones that I've colored red. I just have a red Sharpie from an office store, needs to be permanent. Now you can use your blends to color in your rhinestones, but I don't like to damage the brush tip. You can use the bullet tip, but I have a Sharpie from an office store, so I just use that. And you just color the rhinestone, and then you can turn them red. I would color these and give it just a little bit of a time to dry, and just doesn't need too long. Now I can bring in these rhinestones and add some bling to the wreath. You can add as many as you'd like. I have been adding 5. Whoops, goodness. You know, like I mentioned, I made a few of these and everything went smoothly. And then I turn the record on, and then you have those little oops, but that's okay. It all works out, and you add them where you would like. And that is going to complete the card for the reindeer dies, which are absolutely fun to create with. I will have a PDF that you can download that will have the card sketch that I use. I will include these measurements on there and a photo of the card and all the supplies I use to create that. Now do keep in mind that if you're interested in my thank you gifts, look at the bottom of my blog post, and the mini catalog goes live tomorrow, September 4th, and there's so many amazing products in here. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I would love to have you like and share my videos. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.